The morning sun climbed over the hills of rural Korea. June wiped sweat from his brow as he guided his old plow through the soil. Most farms now use robots and machines, but June stuck to the old ways. His small farm sat at the edge of the valley, far from the busy cities. "Come on, Dole," he called to his donkey. The gray animal pulled the plow with steady steps. Dole was stubborn but strong. The animal had been with June for 8 years now. June looked at the clear blue sky. It was a perfect day for planting rice. His small farm didn't make much money, but it was enough. His neighbors called him old-fashioned, but June didn't mind. He loved the feel of dirt under his fingers and the quiet life he built here. "Just a bit more, old friend," he said to Dole. The donkey's ears twitched in response. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. High above Earth, hidden from human eyes, a massive ship slipped into orbit. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. Inside, scaled figures moved with purpose through red-lit halls. In the command center, Supreme Warlord Krax studied the blue planet on the main screen. He stood 7 feet tall, his body covered in gray-green scales. A ridge of spines ran from his head down his back. His yellow eyes narrowed as he examined the world below. "Is this the right planet?" he asked, his voice deep and rough. A smaller draconian bowed. "Yes, Supreme Warlord. This is Earth. Our scouts report it is rich with resources." Krax clicked his claws against the metal railing. "And the natives?" "Primitive," the officer replied. "They have basic technology, but nothing that can stop us. They call themselves humans." Krax nodded slowly. "Begin the first phase. Send scout teams to rural areas. Stay away from their cities for now. We need to test their defenses before the main attack." "What about the natives we find?" another officer asked. "Capture some for study," Krax ordered. "Kill any who resist." Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. In the nearby city, Commander Tejo stared at his computer screen with concern. He had served in Earth's Defense Force for 15 years, but he had never seen readings like these. "Run the scan again," he told his team. The young technicians nodded and typed quickly. "Same result, sir," said one. "Something entered our atmosphere 2 hours ago, but it doesn't match any known aircraft. It disappeared from our scanners near the rural districts." Tahoe frowned. "Could it be a malfunction?" "We've checked 3 times, sir. The readings are real." Tahoe picked up his phone. "I need to inform headquarters. Keep monitoring. If you see anything else strange, call me right away." He walked to the window and looked out at the city. Beyond the tall buildings, he could see the distant hills where farms like June's dotted the countryside. Something didn't feel right. After years in defense, he had developed good instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that trouble was coming. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. As night fell, June led Duel back to the small barn. The day's work was done. His muscles ached, but it was a good kind of tired. "Good work today," he told the donkey as he removed the harness. Dole snorted softly and nudged June's pocket where he kept apple slices. June laughed. "Always thinking about food, aren't you?" He gave Duel the apple and patted the animal's neck. As he walked toward his small house, June stopped. In the distance, a bright light streaked across the sky. It wasn't like any shooting star he had ever seen. The light moved too slowly, and it seemed to change direction before disappearing behind the mountains. June stared at the spot where the light had vanished. A strange feeling settled in his stomach. Something wasn't right. Inside the barn, Dull stomped his hoof and brayed loudly, as if he too sensed something wrong in the night air. June didn't know it yet, but his simple life was about to change forever, and his stubborn old donkey would soon become much more than just a farm animal. Han walked through the forest near the village, her eyes fixed on the small device in her hand. It beeped softly as she moved between the trees. Han was not like most people in the area. She had studied at the big city university and now worked at the research center just 10 miles from the village. Her job was to study strange life forms that might come from space. The device in her hand showed strange energy patterns. Han had first noticed them 3 days ago. Something was in these woods that did not belong here. She stopped and crouched down. On the ground was a footprint unlike any she had ever seen. It was large, with 3 long toes ending in what looked like claw marks. Han took out her phone and snapped a picture. "This is not from any animal on Earth," she whispered to herself. Han wanted to tell someone about what she found, but who would believe her? The village people already thought she was strange with all her talk about aliens and space. They called her Star Girl behind her back. Even her parents had wanted her to marry a local boy instead of going to study science. She decided to keep looking on her own. If she could find real proof, then people would have to believe her. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. June finished feeding the chickens and walked toward his small house. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. Dole was in his pen, eating hay after the day's work. As June reached for his door, he heard a strange sound from the edge of his farm where the forest began. It was like a low hiss mixed with a clicking noise. June turned, squinting into the growing darkness. "Hello," he called. "Is someone there?" The sound came again, louder this time. June grabbed a tool from beside his door, an old metal rake. He wasn't sure why, but he felt he might need something in his hands. "Show yourself," he called, trying to sound brave. From between the trees, a figure moved. At first, June thought it was a person in some kind of costume. But as it stepped into the clearing, he knew this was no human. The creature stood on 2 legs, but it was not a man. It was taller than June by at least a foot. Its body was covered in scales that gleamed in the last light of day. Its head was shaped like a lizard's, with yellow eyes that seemed to glow. The hands had only 3 fingers, each ending in a sharp claw. June's mouth fell open. He could not move. Fear froze him in place. The creature tilted its head, studying June. Then it opened its mouth. June expected it to speak, but instead, a bright glow built up in its throat. A second later, a burst of what looked like blue fire shot out. June jumped to the side just in time. The fire hit the ground where he had been standing, leaving the earth black and smoking. The creature hissed and moved toward him. June scrambled backward, still holding his rake. From his pen, Dole began to bray loudly, sensing the danger. The noise seemed to confuse the creature. It turned its head toward the donkey, then back to June. This gave June the chance he needed. He turned and ran as fast as he could toward his house. He slammed the door behind him and locked it. His hand shook as he grabbed his phone. Who could he call? The police. They would think he was crazy. Through his window, June saw the creature watching his house from the edge of the trees. Its eyes glowed in the darkness. After a long moment, it turned and disappeared back into the forest. That night, June did not sleep. He sat by his window with a kitchen knife in his hand, watching the trees. In his pen, Dole remained restless, braying occasionally as if warning June that danger was still near. No one would believe what he had seen, but June knew the truth. Something not from Earth had come to his farm, and it could breathe fire. The next morning, June walked to the village market. His eyes were red from no sleep. He needed to tell someone what he had seen, but who would believe him? As he bought rice and beans, he heard people talking. "Did you hear about June? He says he saw a monster that breathed fire." One man laughed. "Too much rice wine, I think." Another said. June lowered his head and walked away. He had tried to tell the village leader that morning, but the old man had just smiled and told him to rest more. As June headed home, someone called his name. He turned to see Han running toward him. "June, wait," she said. "I need to talk to you." June stopped. He knew Han a little. People called her strange because she studied stars and talked about life on other planets. "I heard what you told the village leader," Han said when she reached him. "About what you saw last night." June looked down. You think I'm crazy too? Han shook her head. No, I think you're telling the truth. She pulled out her phone and showed him a picture of a strange footprint. I found these in the forest 3 days ago, and my equipment has been picking up weird energy readings. Jun's eyes widened. You believe me? Yes, and I think we need to work together, Han said. Whatever you saw is dangerous. It might come back. For the first time since last night, Jun felt hope. Someone believed him. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. In the mountains not far from the village, the Draconians had built their base. They had hidden it well, using technology that bent light around their buildings so human eyes could not see them. Inside the main building, a group of Draconians stood around a table. One of them was larger than the others, with red-tinted scales and a more muscular build. Supreme Warlord Krax wants results, this Draconian said. Her voice was deeper than the male's. I am tasked with capturing human specimens. Yes, Elite Warrior Scarix, one of the males said. We have mapped several small settlements nearby. Scarix pointed to a spot on the map. This village. It is small and far from their military bases. We will strike here first. She turned to the group. Prepare for a raid in 2 days. Another Draconian spoke up. One of our scouts reported contact with a human last night. The human escaped. Scarix hissed in anger. Fool, we were supposed to stay hidden until the attack. She clenched her clawed hand. Which human saw us? A farmer with a small house at the edge of the forest, the scout said. He had a strange animal with him. It made loud noises. We should kill this human before he warns others, another Draconian suggested. Scarix thought for a moment. No, no one will believe one farmer. We continue with the plan. She bared her teeth. But I will remember this farmer. Perhaps he will be the first specimen I collect. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Back at Jun's farm, Han was setting up equipment around the house. These sensors will alert us if anything comes close, she explained. And I've been studying what you told me about the creature. The fire it breathed. It was blue and very hot, Jun said. Han nodded. From what you described, it sounds like plasma, not actual fire. Advanced technology, not magic. Jun looked worried. Why are they here? What do they want? I don't know, Han admitted. But in all the cases I've studied, when advanced beings come to a planet in secret, they're not there to make friends. Duel the donkey brayed from his pen. Jun walked over and patted the animal's neck. He sensed the creature before I did, Jun told Han. And when he made noise, the creature seemed confused. Han's eyes lit up. Really? That's interesting. She walked over to Duel and studied him. Animals often have senses we don't. Maybe he can hear or smell something about these creatures that we can't. Jun smiled at his donkey. He's just a stubborn old farm animal, but he might be more helpful than we think. As the sun began to set, Han and Jun prepared for another night of watching. They didn't know it yet, but their lives were now bound together in a fight that would determine the fate of their entire village. And Jun's loyal donkey would play a bigger role than anyone could imagine. 2 nights later, the village was quiet. Most people were asleep in their beds. At Jun's farm, he and Han took turns watching. Han had brought more equipment from her lab. Small screens showed the area around the farm. Jun's father, an old man named Gil, slept in the back room. He had come to stay with Jun after hearing about the wild animal his son had seen. Gil did not believe the story about fire-breathing monsters, but he worried about his son. Nothing on the sensors, Han said, looking at her screens. Maybe they won't come back. Jun shook his head. They will. I can feel it. In his pen, Dole suddenly lifted his head. His ears moved back and forth. Then he let out a loud bray that broke the night's quiet. Han jumped up. Something's coming. Jun looked at the screens, but they showed nothing. Where? I don't see. A loud boom shook the house. Jun ran to the window. In the distance, toward the village, orange light filled the sky. Smoke rose from between the houses. The village, June shouted. They're attacking the village. Han grabbed her bag. We need to help. They ran outside. Jill came out of his room, confused by the noise. What's happening? He asked. Stay here, Father, June said. Lock the door. June and Han ran toward the village. As they got closer, they could hear screams. People ran from their homes as strange figures moved through the streets. It's them, June whispered. The creatures I saw. Han pulled out a small device. I made this after you told me about them. It might help. They hid behind a wall and watched. The Draconians moved from house to house. Some of them carried humans who could not move. They seemed to be sleeping or knocked out. They're taking people, Han said. But why? Suddenly, a larger Draconian appeared. Unlike the others, this one had red scales. It walked to the center of the village and looked around. That must be their leader, Han whispered. The red Draconian spoke in a strange language to the others. Then it pointed to different houses. The other Draconians moved quickly to follow orders. June saw one of them heading toward the home of the village leader. We have to warn him, he said, starting to move. Han grabbed his arm. Wait, we can't fight them all. Before they could decide what to do, a scream came from behind them. They turned to see two Draconians dragging someone from a house. It was Gil, June's father. Father, June shouted. He jumped up and ran toward them. June? No. Han called after him. The Draconians saw June coming. One of them raised a strange weapon. A blue light shot out and hit the ground near June's feet. The earth exploded, throwing June backward. The red Draconian turned toward the noise. When it saw June, it made a sound like a laugh. It walked toward him as he tried to get up. You are the farmer, it said in broken human language. The one who saw us. June stared in shock. You can speak our language. The creature smiled, showing sharp teeth. I am Scarix. I learn fast. Scarix looked at the Draconians holding Gil. This is your father. When June didn't answer, Scarix nodded to the guards. Take him. No, June shouted, trying to stand. Leave him alone. Scarix pushed June down with one clawed hand. You will see him again, when we study you both. A loud noise made Scarix turn. Han had jumped out and thrown something at the Draconians holding Gil. The device hit the ground and let out a high-pitched sound. The Draconians cried out in pain, covering what seemed to be their ears. Run, Han shouted to Gil. The old man broke free and started to run, but he was slow. One of the Draconians recovered and aimed its weapon. June saw what was about to happen. Father, look out. The weapon fired. Gil fell to the ground. No, June screamed. Scarix looked at Han with interest. You know things about us. She pointed at Han. Take that one too. More Draconians surrounded Han. She fought, but there were too many. They grabbed her and put something over her mouth. Han's eyes closed as she fell asleep. The raid is complete, Scarix said. Return to base. As the Draconians moved away with their captives, including Han and Gil, June lay on the ground, too hurt to follow. Around him, the village burned. Morning came to the village. People moved through the streets, looking at their damaged homes. Some cried for family members who were taken. Others packed their things to leave. June sat on a bench outside the village leader's house. His arm was wrapped in a bandage where he had been hurt in the attack. Inside, the police and some soldiers talked about what had happened. Aliens? That's crazy talk, June heard one officer say. It was terrorists with new weapons. But the footprints, another said, and the burn marks. They're not like anything we've seen before. A soldier came outside. June, right? The farmer who saw them first. June nodded. We call the army. They're sending more people, but it will take 2 days. 2 days. June stood up. The creatures have my father and Han now. We can't wait that long." The soldier looked sad. "I'm sorry. We don't even know where they took them." June walked away, angry and scared. He went back to his farm. Everything was quiet. Dole was in his pen, eating hay like it was a normal day. "What am I going to do, Dole?" June asked the donkey. "I need to find them, but I don't know how." June went into his house and found Han's bag that she had left behind. Inside were her devices and notes. He tried to read them, but they were full of big science words he didn't understand. Then he found something interesting. A small flying machine, like a toy with 4 small fans. A note was taped to it. "Forest drone, tracking strange energy." June turned it on. A small screen lit up, showing a map of the area. On the map was a red dot blinking deep in the mountains. The drone must have followed them, June said to himself. This shows where they went. He grabbed the drone and Han's bag and ran back to the village. He found the soldier he had talked to earlier. "Look," June showed him the map. "This is where they took everyone." The soldier studied the map. "That's at least 10 miles into the mountains. Very rough country." He shook his head. "We need to wait for the army." "But that will be too late," June said. "Listen, son." The soldier put his hand on June's shoulder. "Those things took 20 people. They have weapons we've never seen. You can't go alone." June knew the soldier was right. But he couldn't wait. His father and Han needed help now. He went back to his farm and started packing a bag, food, water, a first aid kit, and a knife. As he worked, he noticed one of Han's devices on the table. It was the thing she had used during the attack, the one that made the high sound that hurt the aliens. June picked it up. Part of it was broken, but maybe he could fix it. Han had shown him how it worked. The sound it made seemed to hurt the aliens' ears or something inside their heads. "Their fire breath," June said, remembering what Han had told him. She said it wasn't real fire, but some kind of hot plasma in their bodies. He looked at the device. Maybe the sound messes with whatever makes the plasma. June packed the device and some tools to fix it. He would need all the help he could get. As he was about to leave, he looked at Dole. The donkey watched him with those big calm eyes. "I can't take you," June told the animal. "It's too dangerous." But then he remembered how Dole had sensed the aliens before the machines did, and how his braying seemed to bother them. Plus, he would need help carrying supplies through the mountains. "Fine," June said. "You can come, but you have to be quiet." Dole just flicked his ears as if to say, "I'll be quiet when I want to be." June put some bags on Dole's back and checked the map one more time. He knew the mountains well. He had hiked there many times, but he had never gone looking for aliens before. As the sun started to set, June and Dole slipped away from the farm. No one saw them go. Ahead lay the dark mountains, and somewhere in them, a hidden base full of fire-breathing aliens. "We're coming, Father," June whispered. "We're coming, Han. Just hold on." The mountain path was hard to follow in the dark. June moved slowly, holding a small light in one hand. Behind him, Dole stepped carefully over rocks and roots. The night was cold, and June could see his breath in the air. According to Han's device, the alien base was 2 miles ahead, hidden in a valley between 2 tall peaks. June had been walking for 4 hours. His legs hurt, but he kept going. "Almost there, Dole," he whispered to the donkey. Dole's ears moved back and forth, listening to the night sounds. As they got closer, June turned off his light. The moon was bright enough to see by. He didn't want the aliens to spot him. He checked Han's device again. It had another function that Han had told him about. It could hide his body heat from the alien sensors. June turned it on and watched the small green light blink. "I hope this works," he said to Dole. They reached the edge of a cliff. Below, June saw something strange. The valley looked empty, but the air seemed to move, like waves of heat from a fire. June knew this must be the aliens hiding technology. Their base was there, but human eyes couldn't see it. He found a narrow path down the cliff and led Duel carefully along it. At the bottom, they moved toward the strange airwaves. June took a deep breath and stepped forward. For a moment, the world seemed to blur. Then he was through. In front of him stood a large metal building. It wasn't like any building June had seen before. The walls were smooth and dark, with strange glowing lines running through them. Small flying machines moved around it, like insects around a flower. "There," June whispered, pointing to a door on the side of the building. "We need to get in there." He and Duel moved from rock to rock, staying hidden. Once, a flying machine came close. June held his breath, hoping Han's device was hiding them. The machine hovered for a moment, then moved away. They reached the door. It had no handle, just a flat panel with strange marks. June didn't know how to open it. Just then, the door slid open. Two draconians walked out. June and Duel quickly hid behind a large rock. The aliens walked past, talking in their strange language. "Now's our chance," June whispered. He and Duel hurried to the door before it closed. Inside, the air was warm and smelled strange, like burned metal. The halls were lit with red lights that made it hard to see. June led Duel quietly through the building. They passed rooms with strange machines and glowing screens. June checked Han's device again. It was picking up human life signs deeper in the building. That must be where they were keeping the captives. As they turned a corner, June heard voices. He pulled Duel into a small dark space between two walls. Two draconians walked by, one of them the red-scaled leader, Scarix. "The specimens are ready for transport," one said in broken human language. "The ship arrives tomorrow." "Good," Scarix replied. "Supreme Warlord Krax will be pleased. These humans are stronger than we thought. They will make good test subjects." June's heart beat faster. They were planning to take the captives away tomorrow. He had to find them now. After the draconians passed, June and Duel continued down the hall. Finally, they reached a large door. The device showed many human life signs beyond it. "This is it," June whispered. He looked for a way to open the door. There was another panel with alien writing. He was about to touch it when he heard a noise from inside. A human voice. "The sonic frequency disrupts their fire glands," the voice said. "I saw it during the attack." It was Han. She was talking to someone. "But how can we use that?" another voice asked. "I don't know yet," Han replied. "My equipment is back at the lab." June needed to get through that door, but how? As he thought, Duel suddenly became restless. The donkey's ears went up, and he made a small noise. "Quiet, Duel," June whispered. But Duel didn't listen. The donkey opened his mouth and let out a loud bray that echoed through the halls. "No," June tried to quiet the animal, but it was too late. From down the hall came shouts in the alien language. They had been heard. June turned to the door, desperate to get through. But before he could try anything, the door slid open. A draconian guard stood there, weapon raised. It looked at June, then at the donkey. Its eyes widened in surprise. Behind the guard, June could see a large room. Cages lined the walls. Inside them were the people from his village, including his father. And there was Han, strapped to a table, with strange devices attached to her head. The guard opened its mouth. Inside, blue fire began to glow. The draconian guard's throat glowed bright blue. June knew what was coming next. He jumped to the side just as a stream of hot plasma shot from the alien's mouth. The blue fire hit the wall, melting the metal. "Intruder," the guard shouted in its strange language. June reached into his bag and pulled out Han's device. It was still partly broken, but he had fixed it as best he could. He pressed the button. The device made a high sound that hurt even June's ears. The guard dropped its weapon and grabbed at the sides of its head. The blue glow in its throat flickered and died. "June," Han shouted from inside the room. Over here. June ran past the guard. Inside the room, people in cages called his name. He saw his father waving from one of the cages. "Father," June called. "Look out," his father shouted. June turned. 3 more guards ran into the room. Behind them came Scarix, the red-scaled leader, her yellow eyes fixed on June with hate. "The farmer," she hissed. "You should not be here." June held up Han's device. "Stay back, or I'll use this again." Scarix laughed. "Your little noise toy. We have studied it." She touched something on her arm. "Now our ears are protected." Outside the room, Dole brayed again, louder this time. The sound echoed through the hall. Scarix looked at the donkey. "What is this animal? Why do you bring it here?" "He's with me," June said, trying to sound brave. Scarix walked closer. She was much taller than June, with sharp claws and teeth. "You humans are strange. You keep useless animals." She looked at Han. "But this one, she is smart. She knows things about us." Han struggled against the straps holding her to the table. "Leave him alone, Scarix." Scarix ignored her. "I will deal with you myself, farmer." She opened her mouth. Inside, a glow began, brighter than any June had seen before. It was not blue like the other draconians, but a hot white light. "Their leaders have stronger fire," Han shouted. "June, run." But June didn't run. He pressed the button on the device again, making it even louder. The guards covered their heads, but Scarix just smiled. "I told you, it doesn't work on me anymore." The glow in her throat grew brighter. June looked around for something to use as a weapon. He saw nothing. This was it. He was going to die. Suddenly, Dole burst into the room. The donkey ran straight at Scarix, head down. Before she could turn, Dole slammed into her legs. Scarix stumbled but didn't fall. "Stupid animal," she hissed. She kicked at Dole, but the donkey was quick. He moved back, then forward again. Scarix turned her attention to Dole. The glow in her throat was now ready. She opened her mouth wide to blast the donkey with her fire breath. June saw his chance. He ran to Han and began to pull at her straps. "The control panel," Han said, nodding to a screen near her table. "The yellow button releases all the cages." June hit the yellow button. All around the room, cage doors slid open. The villagers rushed out. Some grabbed alien weapons that were on tables. Others helped those who were too weak to walk. June freed Han from the table. She jumped up and grabbed her notes and a small alien device. "We need to get out of here," she said. "But Dule." June pointed to where his donkey was still facing off with Scarix. The red draconian was getting ready to burn Dole. The white glow was now so bright it lit up the whole room. Scarix opened her mouth wide. "Dule," June shouted. "Move." But instead of running away, Dole did something amazing. As Scarix was about to release her fire breath, Dole stood on his back legs. Then he came down hard, his front hooves hitting Scarix right in the throat. There was a loud crack. The white glow in Scarix's throat went out. She made a choking sound and grabbed at her neck. Her yellow eyes went wide with shock. He hit her fire gland. Han said, "It's in their throats." Scarix stumbled back. The other draconians rushed to help her. In the confusion, June grabbed Dole's rope. "Now we run," he shouted. June, Han, and the freed villagers, led by June's father, rushed out of the room. Behind them, they could hear Scarix making horrible sounds as she choked and gasped. The donkey had done what no human weapon could do. He had hurt the alien leader where she was most dangerous, right in her fire-breathing gland. June, Han, and the villagers ran through the alien base. Alarms rang out, making a high sound that hurt their ears. Red lights flashed along the walls. "This way," Han shouted, pointing down a hall. She had studied the base layout while the aliens held her. "There's an exit over there." As they ran, Draconian guards appear ahead of them. Some of the villagers who had taken alien weapons fired at them. The blasts knocked the Draconians down. "Keep moving," June's father called to the group. "Don't stop." Dull ran beside June, his hooves loud on the metal floor. The donkey seemed proud of what he had done, holding his head high. They reached a door that led outside. The night air felt good after the hot, strange air in the base, but they were still inside the hidden shield that made the base invisible from outside. "We need to find the shield controls," Han said. She looked at a device she had taken. "If we can turn off the shield, the army will be able to see the base." "There's no time," one villager said. "We need to get away now." "But they'll just come after us again," Han argued. "And next time they'll be ready." June looked back at the base. "Han is right. We need to stop them here." He pointed to a small building near the main one. "What's that?" Han looked at her device. "That might be the power center. It's worth checking." "You all go," June told the villagers. "Get to safety. My father will lead you." "No, son," Jill said. "I'm staying with you." "Me too," Han added. The other villagers hesitated, then began to move toward the edge of the shield. They would be safer once they were outside and visible to rescuers. June, Han, Gil, and Duel moved quickly to the small building. Inside, they found what looked like a room full of glowing tubes and screens. "This is it," Han said, looking around. "The power center." Suddenly, the door behind them opened. They turned to see Scarix standing there. She looked terrible. Her neck was swollen where Dole had kicked her. The glow in her throat was dim and flickering. "You?" she rasped, her voice rough and broken. "Will die here." She tried to use her fire breath, but only a small flame came out. It died quickly. Scarix roared in anger and pain. "Her fire gland is damaged," Han whispered, "but she's still dangerous." Scarix moved toward them, her claws ready to tear them apart. "Get behind me," Jun said, standing in front of Han and his father. He held up a piece of metal he had grabbed as a weapon. But before Scarix could reach them, a new sound filled the air. It was the beat of helicopter blades. Outside, lights cut through the night sky. "The army," Jill said. "They found us." Han looked at her device. "The shield is failing. Something's wrong with their systems." Through the window, they could see soldiers moving toward the base. Some of them helped the escaped villagers. Others aimed weapons at the Draconian buildings. In the room, Scarix looked up at the sound of helicopters. For the first time, she looked afraid. "Supreme Warlord Krax," she said into a device on her arm. "Humans have found our base. The shield is failing. We need emergency transport." From the device came a harsh voice. "What happened to the shield?" "The human female," Scarix said, looking at Han with hate. "She must have sabotaged it during her capture. And a human animal damaged my fire gland." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice said, "Return to the ship immediately. We will move up our timeline. Begin the full attack now." Scarix looked at the humans with cold eyes. "You think you have won. This was just our first base. Our main forces are coming. Your world will burn." She backed toward the door. June thought about trying to stop her, but she was still too strong, even without her fire breath. "Let her go," Han said. "We need to warn the soldiers about what's coming." As Scarix ran from the building, they heard more helicopters arriving. Outside, soldiers surrounded the base. "They're evacuating," Han said, looking at her device. "The Draconians are leaving." June put his arm around his father's shoulders. "We did it. We saved the villagers." "Yes," Han said. But Scarix was right about one thing. This was just the beginning. She looked at Duel and patted the donkey's head. "Your donkey bought us time by hurting Scarix. But there are more of them coming." June nodded. "Then we need to be ready." As they walked outside to meet the soldiers, June knew that the real fight was just starting. But now the world would know what they were facing, and they had discovered a weakness in the fire-breathing aliens, a weakness found by a simple farm donkey. 3 days passed after the escape from the alien base. June, Han, and Gil were taken to a military camp. Soldiers and scientists moved everywhere, getting ready for what was coming. Even Dole was brought to the camp, kept in a special pen where scientists studied him. Han worked with the military scientists. They looked at the piece of Skirix's fire gland that had stuck to Dole's hoof after he kicked her. Han also showed them how her sonic device worked. The fire gland reacts badly to certain sound waves, Han explained to Commander Tahoe, the leader of Earth's defense in this area. Dole's kick damaged Skirix's gland, but it was his braying that first showed us their weakness. Commander Tahoe nodded. Can we make a weapon based on this? We already are, Han said. She pointed to a large machine being built nearby. This will make the same sound as my small device, but much stronger. It should disable their fire breath completely. Jun watched from a distance. He was not a scientist or a soldier. He felt out of place here. His father came and stood beside him. You look worried, son, Jill said. I am, Jun admitted. Han says the main alien force will be much bigger. What if her sound weapon doesn't work? Gil put his hand on Jun's shoulder. Then we'll find another way. That's what humans do. Across the camp, in a special tent, Skirix was held prisoner. She had been caught trying to reach a small ship hidden in the mountains. Her neck was still swollen, and she could not breathe fire at all now. Jun decided to visit her. 2 guards stood outside her tent. They let him in after checking his ID. Inside, Skirix sat on a bench. Her hands were tied, and a device on her neck kept her from moving too much. She looked up as Jun entered. The farmer, she said in her broken voice. Come to see the captured enemy. I came to ask why, Jun said. Why attack us? We did nothing to you. Skirix made a sound that might have been a laugh. You exist. Your planet has what we need. That is enough reason. There could have been peace between us, Jun said. Skirix looked at him with those yellow eyes. You are strange. I ordered your father taken. I tried to kill you. Yet you talk of peace. Jun didn't answer. Instead, he put a small bowl of water near her. Skirix looked surprised. Your throat must hurt, Jun said simply. Then he left the tent. As night fell, alarms sounded through the camp. People ran to their positions. Han found Jun and his father. They're here, she said, her face pale. A huge ship just entered Earth's atmosphere. They looked up. In the night sky, the stars were blocked by something massive moving above them. It was bigger than anything Jun had ever seen. Commander Tahoe's voice came over the speakers. All units ready. Civilians to the bunkers. That means us, Jill said to Jun. We should go. But Jun shook his head. No, I'm staying with Han. They went to where the sound machine was set up. Scientists made last checks on it. Soldiers prepared their weapons. High above, the massive alien ship opened. Smaller ships poured out, heading toward Earth. Here they come, Han whispered. Commander Tahoe gave the order. Fire the sonic disruptor. Han pressed the button. The machine hummed, then sent out waves of sound. Humans couldn't hear it, but they could feel it in their bones. The alien ships faltered. Some began to spin out of control. Others tried to turn back. Through a radio, they heard Supreme Warlord Krax's voice. What is happening? Our fire systems are failing. In her tent, Skirix looked up at the sound. She knew what was happening. The humans had turned their weakness into a weapon. The alien ships that kept coming were met by Earth's military. Without their fire weapons, the Draconians were much weaker. One by one, their ships fell or retreated. As morning came, the big ship moved away from Earth. They had won this battle. Han hugged Jun. We did it. Your donkey showed us how to beat them. Jun smiled, but he knew this wasn't the end. The aliens would be back someday, maybe with new weapons, but humans would be ready. Later that day, June went to check on Dull. The donkey was eating hay, calm as always. June patted his neck. "You saved us all, old friend," he said. A simple donkey beat the fire-breathing dragons from space. Dull just flicked his ears and went back to eating, as if kicking alien invaders was all in a day's work.